Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Mike Muldoon Podcast. As always, thanks for joining me. It was a crazy last weekend. Fun times. I don't know, I think we talked about when I turned 50. That was great. And then basically a family surprised me. They flew over from America. How crazy is that? My mom flew over. My dad, obviously, we talked about this last year, passed away. My brothers, my sister-in-laws. It was quite a weekend. It was pretty crazy, and it culminated with us all going to the Jets-Vikings game. And once again, the Jets, they came up short. Painful. Other than that, though, it was great. So here I am in 50. I am now 50. I'm a week into it. And things are going good. So as always, thanks for joining me here. And let's get into this today. Because today I want to talk about the ability or the importance of really balancing self-improvement and that dread that we have of making change. See, the thing is, we all have these moments when we know what we should do, start that new workout routine, learn a new skill, or make healthier choices. But even when we plan for self-improvement, there's often a part of us that hesitates, right? It resists. It feels just like downright anxious, like, why? Why are we going to do this? Because change is hard. And our brains are wired to just avoid discomfort. I mean, this tug-of-war creates a mental seesaw with our desire for growth on one side, but then our fear of change on the other. So today, I want to talk about the neuroscience behind the inner conflict, and more importantly, how you can tip the seesaw in your favor to achieve lasting self-improvement. I really want to just start by diving into what's really going on in our brains when we face the challenge of self-improvement. Like I said, on one side of the seesaw is motivation, right? It's driven by the brain's reward system, particularly the neurotransmitter called dopamine. But every time we complete a small task or achieve a goal, our brain releases a little bit of dopamine, giving us a hit of satisfaction and making us more likely to repeat that behavior, right? Because it feels so good. There was a study I came across. It was in 2018. It was a study at the University of Michigan found that dopamine isn't just released when we achieve something big. It also kicks in when we anticipate the possibility of a reward. This is why it explains, starting a new project can feel exciting at first, or thinking about doing something new can feel exciting at first, even if the actual work seems daunting. Like every time you experience a small win, like going for a 10-minute jog or preparing a healthy meal, your brain reinforces that behavior, making self-improvement feel, progressively easier. Think of it as giving you a seesaw, a gentle nudge towards the direction of growth. So even by thinking about it or even just doing something small makes you feel really good about it. However, on the other side of that seesaw, right, is that fear of change, right? That yin and yang. It's rooted in the brain's amygdala, which processes threats and triggers our fear responses. So there was a study by neuroscientist John Liddell who basically demonstrated that the amygdala is highly active when we're faced with uncertainty or challenges, like starting a new job or committing to a lifestyle change. See, the thing is, it's a part of the brain that's responsible for that uneasy feeling, in the pit of our stomach when you think about doing something outside. And we often talk about this because, unfortunately, to change, you got to be willing to get outside. When you get outside your comfort zone. So when we think about self-improvement, the amygdala basically sends warning signals. Change means uncertainty, and uncertainty might lead to discomfort or failure. And this is why that seesaw basically is often feels weighted towards dread and avoidance. But see, the good news is that our brains aren't fixed in this fear state. Thanks to neuroplasticity, we can reshape the way our brains respond to challenges over time. It's been discovered that the more we engage in new behaviors, the easier they become. Basically, repetition strengthens the neural pathways associated with those actions, making them feel more natural. Just like if you were working out, the more you start working out in the beginning, it's like, oh God, this is hard, I shouldn't do it. The more it starts going, the muscles get trained, the easier it becomes. So again, basically, in other words, the more often you choose to take actions, the more the seesaw really starts to tip away from the fear and towards the progress, which, might feel hard today, like, waking up early to go do that exercise, but it'll feel less daunting in the future because your brain will adapt to this new routine and say, you know what? No, this isn't bad. This is actually really good for us. So how do we tip this mental seesaw in our favor? what are some of the strategies, that we can use that can really help, make self-improvement feel less like a chore and more just like an achievable goal. And one of the biggest, mistakes people really try to do when they try to do anything new is they really try to set these massive goals. I used to have a friend of mine, I love him to death, but I remember he used to say to me, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to quit smoking, I'm going to start running, and I'm going to eat better. And it's like, that is a massive goal when you have never ran. You've been smoking for decades and your diet's terrible. So the real key here is to really start with small steps. Because again, if you set these intimidating goals that feel impossible to achieve, you haven't had a cigarette, you haven't been without one for 25 years, it's going to make it incredibly difficult to stick with it. So instead, try breaking your goals down to something smaller, more manageable task. Just small, more incremental goals. Don't say, I'm going to start exercising 2 hours a day tomorrow. Exercise 10 minutes a day. For me, I want to start running again. And it was funny. I just got a lot of pains and I'm working through them. And I've got this trainer help me try to kind of reset my body, my foundation and stuff like that. Because I really want to start running. I was this huge runner. I loved running as a kid. A couple of years ago, I got back into it. I was running and, life gets in the way, but I want to do it. And, I'm working through some of these pains, but I got on the treadmill and I was like, I'm going to run. And 2 minutes in and I was like, I'm in pain. I'm like, you know what? Let's just try to get to 10 minutes today. Because I know potentially 10 minutes will lead to 15, 15 will lead to 20, and before you know it, I'll be back to running where I used to be. So it's really important that when you're doing this stuff, don't set huge goals. Just stick to little ones. Stick with these, these tiny new little habits. And don't try to aim too high from the start. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. How about just try to lose 5 pounds by Thanksgiving, Because again, with each small win, you'll be provided a dopamine boost that's going to help you feel more motivated to continue on and keep doing what you're other doing, right? Another powerful tool, though, is also something called habit stacking. It's a technique where you basically pair a new desired behavior with an existing habit. So let's just say you already enjoy listening to music while you're commuting or doing housework, right? You can stack that small new habit like stretching or doing light exercise onto that existing behavior. Because when you're stacking habit, it significantly increases the likelihood of you sticking with new routine. For me, my wife always wonders, she's like, how do you watch so many TV shows? Now, the thing is, you'll rarely ever come in my house and just see me sitting in front of a TV. I usually stack catching up on these TV shows. A lot of times it was with working out. Now it's some other things, usually like cooking dinner. But the thing of it is, it's allowed me to kind of hey, I'm not missing out on things I wanted to watch, but at the same time, I'm not sitting around wasting time. I'm doing things that I have to do. In my old house, I had a gym, and a lot of the TV shows I used to just put on the background while I was working out. So find things to stack. You like listening to music? Do it while you're stretching, going out for your walk. Just put it together, right? Because the thing is, we really need to reframe things, right, in our mind, right? One of the reasons change, again, feels so daunting is that we often frame it as a loss, giving up comfort, free time, or the familiar, right? But however, adopting this sort of growth mindset can really help you see that change as an opportunity, for improvement, and really start, if you really start focusing too, it's not what you're giving up, it's what you're gaining. New skills, better health, or just increased confidence. But again, your body, like I've often talked about, your brain always wants to reset you and go, no. Let's just stay here where it's comfortable. Let's just sit on a couch and do nothing because the other thing's scary. And what if I fail? But I always say, what if you don't? Okay. Another thing is, for some people, it's, I hasten this one. Hasten. I don't even know if that's the right word. Hasten this one. I know a lot of people say, well, you should do visualization, right? Visualization is a big thing. You hear it all the time when people are talking about, law of attraction and bringing things into your life, focus on, using visualization, power tools for overcoming fear and self-doubt. A lot of times the reason for that basically is that visualization can really activate the same brain regions involved in the actual physical activity. Positive mental visualization was a big thing for me when I played sports. I used to visualize what would happen on a field, and the more times you rep it in your head, it was just as like repping it on a field, right? So in this case, it's like by imagining yourself succeeding, whether it's, competing in a marathon or losing 100 pounds or, maybe for you, it's delivering a great presentation or, sticking to a new diet, you can prime your brain to feel more comfortable and prepared when the time comes to take action. However, one of the things I don't like about this is that a lot of times you're already getting the reward for this. So it's easier to go, I can just think about it and continue getting these rewards this positive, great dopamine feeling, but not move you into action. So the key here is, yes, great, visualize, see yourself doing it. And hopefully, again, because I've talked about many times in the past, thoughts lead to emotions. Emotions lead to actions. Actions lead to results, right? Thought. Today, I feel really good. I'm going to go do that workout. Emotion, yes, I'm excited. Action, you get to the gym. Results, you start getting what you want. So that's the only thing with visualization. It's great, but make sure that you don't just hang around all day staring at that board, getting the good feelings, but never put yourself in action to actually get the results you're trying to do, right? So listen, again, understanding, the seesaw. I'm making change. This is exciting. At the same time, it's also scary. But the one thing to really understand with the seesaw theory is that what does it actually look like in practice? Okay. So let's look at athletes, for example, especially those elite athletes. The thing is, when they start training, their bodies are not adapted to the intense physical activity they're eventually going to excel at. But through that repeated effort, they slowly rewire their brains and bodies to handle the greater challenges, right? Have you ever seen some of these workouts? These guys, they're insane. And I'm sure in the beginning it was like, oh, that sounds great. Let's go flip that tractor tire a half a mile down the road and it'll be with ease. I'm sure in the beginning it was a little bit painful for these guys. But eventually the body and the brain and everything starts to adapt and allows them to handle even greater challenges. Now, similarly, many people who undergo significant lifestyle changes like losing weight or transitioning careers, whatever it's going to be for you, will tell you that their journey really started with just small, manageable steps. Over time, as they just basically continue to face challenges head on, their mental seesaw gradually tipped from fear to confidence. Maybe for the person transitioning out of careers, they started looking at new job opportunities. Maybe they started taking new classes, maybe they requalified in something else, just took small, steady chances to eventually closing that gap from, oh my God, it seems so far away to, oh, this is an easier jump to make. So, and again, even in everyday life, the seesaw dynamic sort of plays out constantly. So whether you're learning, maybe you're learning a new instrument or writing a book or building a new business, the principle is always going to be the same. The more you lean into the discomfort, the more your brain adapts. And the easier it is, to improve your self-improvement. Okay. So listen, it's important that we're always looking to better ourselves. Like, we're going to have bad days. I know sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to try to be really positive today, or I'm going to be really good. And then they slip one day and they go, oh, what's the purpose? Well, listen, you're only human. You're only human, people. That's what it is. You're going to have bad days. Yeah, I do this podcast. You don't think I have bad days sometimes? My wife looks at me sometimes. She goes, didn't you just do a podcast? And I'm like, I know I did. But seriously, just pick yourself back up. Keep moving forward. Look, again, life's about living, not existing. Again, you don't have to have this amazing, incredible life, but you got to be living a life that you kind of want to be living, a life that you're choosing to be living, or that, being in a job you want to be in, or a relationship you want to be, or in a physical fitness level you want to be at, whatever it is. But if you choose scared to, it's the seesaw, because party is like, yeah, I'd really like it. And the other party's like, don't do it. Well, you got to push through the don't do it. Because the thing of it is, I guarantee if you do it, you'll look back at a year from now and you'll be like, I don't know if that was not a problem. That was not a problem. Again, one of the biggest challenges, we like to stay in our comfort zones. And I'm not saying every day you got to move out of your comfort zone, but if you want to make some changes in your life, it is that you have to get out of your comfort zone, right? So again, the struggle between self-improvement for many, again, for whether it's job, career, whatever it is, and the fear is something that everyone experiences. But just by understanding how the brain works and using these small sort of strategies to kind of rewrite it, because that's what you can do. Your brain is a computer. It can be rewritten. It is a program. It can be rewritten. You just tip that seesaw towards the progress and more growth, okay? So do yourself a favor. Start small, celebrate each win, and remember, with each new step you take, you're going to tip it just a little bit further in the right direction to the point that it just kind of hits the ground, right? It's just like all of a sudden all that fear disappears. Remember when you used to be on the seesaw and you always hated it because you're doing it and one of your friends would jump off the back of it and you go slamming down on it? Well, that would be the fear leaving. All right. So again, look at it. Small steps. What can you take today? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me here today. As always, I hope you have a great weekend. Birthday season here is almost coming to an end. It's my wife's birthday this week. So my daughter's birthday, my birthday, wife's birthday. Birthday season seems to be slowing down a little bit. So that's good. And as always, have a great weekend. And I've got nothing but love for you.